Hi, I'm Jeremy from International Sportsman. Today we're looking at the 6.8 Western. This is the newest offering from Winchester. And if you're not familiar with this cartridge, there's been a lot of buzz about it since it was introduced the first of this year. Well, the rifles are finally out and we got our hands on a Browning model and a Winchester. So we're going to take them to the range, do some shooting and testing, and let you know our thoughts about the 6.8 Western. Winchester really did their homework, and I am not a person that really gets excited about new calibers that come out. I typically shoot 308 and 300 Win Mag. However, whenever I first saw the 6.8 Western, this is a caliber that I got excited about. Winchester and Browning seem excited about it as well, as there are over 40 different rifles available from Winchester and Browning in the 6.8 Western. Now, we chose two kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. You have a long, heavy, long distance gun here in the X-Bolt, and then you have a short, what I would say, deer stand rifle in the XPR Stealth. Personally, I'm excited about the XPR because this seems to be a great option for shooting Texas whitetail. We typically hunt out of deer stands. We're not stalking and walking long ways, but you also don't want a rifle that is super long. If you add a silencer onto it, now you're the same length as the X-Bolt, maybe even a little bit shorter. There's a lot of information and a lot of videos out there about all the ballistic performance of the 6.8 versus the 270, the 270 WSM, the 300 WSM, the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 6.5 PRC, and you guys can go and look that up, but I'll just tell you some really interesting facts that I found. So first off, it's a short action versus a long action, and it allows you to shoot heavier grain bullets, okay? If you compare the 270 WSM to the 6.8 Western, the 6.8 Western has 10% less powder, but 12% more energy at 500 yards. With the 6.8 Western's heavier bullets, you have 16% more energy than the 6.5 PRC at 500 yards and 67% more energy than the 6.5 Creedmoor at 500 yards. This makes it a Creedmoor killer. Now, personally, I've never been a fan of the 6.5 Creedmoor for hunting applications. Since the 6.8 Western carries more energy downrange, you will be able to extend the shots that you wouldn't necessarily have had with the 270, the 6.5 PRC, or the 6.5 Creedmoor. You'll be able to shoot a little bit longer distances and still deliver more energy and have the accuracy of the other calibers. To demonstrate the power difference between the 6.5 Creedmoor and the 6.8 Western, here is a video clip from Who T Who. He did a great video where he shoots 25-pound clay blocks with both calibers, and the results speak for themselves. Go check out his video for more. Now here you can see a comparison of the 6.8 Western compared to the 300 Win Mag and the 308. Keeping in mind that the 6.8 Western has an overall case length of 2.955 inches, it is a small action compared to the large action of the 300 Win Mag. Here's an example of the 270 Winchester projectiles and the 270 WSM versus the 6.8 Western. As you can see, the 6.8 Western is a longer, heavier bullet, which gives it more energy downrange and less wind drift. You can also see a comparison of the 6.8 Western versus the 270 WSM and the 6.5 Creedmoor. However, it's more comparable to the 6.5 PRC. What's different though is that the 6.8 Western can shoot heavier grain bullets and deliver more energy downrange. The 6.8 Western was designed as a hunting caliber and has some excellent hunting bullets available that you don't find in the other calibers. Now, it does have a little bit more recoil than the 6.5 PRC, or if you're looking at hunting calibers, the 300 WSM. However, it does have a little bit more recoil than the 6.5 PRC, coming in at 24.8 versus the 19.7 of the PRC. but that recoil is easily managed, especially when you're shooting something like the X-Bolt Hell's Canyon that we have here with that big break, or you're using a silencer even on a short 16-inch gun such as the Winchester. Now, the reason why I looked at these two guns specifically is that the X-Bolt has a 26-inch long barrel, so you're getting the maximum velocity out of that 6.8 Western. And the Winchester XPR has a 16.5-inch barrel. So I wanted to compare how the Browning stacked up against the Winchester in terms of velocity. How much do you lose when chopping off 10 inches of the barrel? Keeping in mind that the overall length of the X-Bolt is 46 inches, and the overall length of the Winchester comes in at 35.5 inches. Now, Browning offers a 175 grain Sierra tipped Game King. That's what we're going to be using in our testing. So we're headed out to the range to test out the Browning X-Bolt Hell's Canyon versus the Winchester XPR Stealth. Now, there's a 10-inch barrel difference, so let's check out the velocity difference between the two guns and see if it makes a big difference as far as the accuracy and how the guns perform at distance. Before we head out to the range, I want to cover the equipment that we'll be using. For the scope, we're using the Miyapa MiPro Optica 6. This is a 5-30 by 56 first focal plane. Our scope has the MRAD RD reticle. As far as for the scope mount, we're using the Griffin Armament SPRM mount. This is a very robust and beefy mount that can handle any recoil that the gun can throw at it. On the silencer side of things, we're using the Bowers Group Verse 375. It has a length of 8.6 inches and weighs 15.4 ounces. It's rated for 375 H&H down, including 338 Lapua. Since the 6.8 Western is a hunting caliber, I decided to use this silencer as the Verse 375 is the do-it-all hunting silencer that can handle just about every hunting cartridge available. Also, Bowers is the only silencer company that I know of that makes a thread adapter for the Browning X-Bolt. Up on deck first, we have the X-Bolt Hell's Canyon Max Long Range. Now, this does have a 26-inch long fluted barrel that's much heavier than the Winchester. So for the accuracy testing, we're going to be shooting 3-shot groups. The reason for the 3-shot groups is that's what each of the magazines hold. So in theory, you could get 3+1, but I'm going to shoot 3 shots essentially as fast as I can and be accurate without giving the barrel time to cool in between each shot. The purpose of this is to replicate a hunting scenario with 3 different shots. Up first is the 175 grain bullets from Browning, and as you can see here, it produced a group size a little under ½ an inch with 2 of the bullets touching. Velocity out of the X-Bolt averaged 2,943 feet per second. Up next, the Winchester XPR Stealth shooting the 175 grain bullets. This produced a vertical string that measured just a little bit under 1.5 inches. Now, this is to be expected with a shorter barrel that is lighter weight. As the barrel heated up, we saw a little bit of that vertical stringing. After putting the silencer on the gun, there was a pretty big shift down low left. This is a lightweight barrel, so I'm not surprised to see the addition of a silencer create a shift down. The velocity of the Winchester shooting the 175 grain bullets came in at 2,820 feet per second, or about 120 feet per second slower than the Browning. Moving back to the X-Bolt Hell's Canyon, Winchester sent us the 162 grain copper impact, and it produced the best result of the day. This group size here is about 1/4 inch. Very impressive from the 162 grain Winchester copper impact. Our velocity for the 162 grain copper impact was 2840, just a tick under what is advertised on the box.
About didn't feel anything.
Nothing?
Amazing. It's like nothing. That break was awesome.
Back to the Winchester XPR, now shooting the 162 grain copper impact. It was almost the same group size as the 175 grains, about 1.5 inches. Now you'll notice on the target there is a fourth shot. That one was me pulling right out of the gate. I knew there was a bad shot, so we shot 3 more shots in succession, and this was the group size. Adding the silencer produced the same result as before with a shift low left, and there was one bullet that went very high. Not sure if I pulled that one or not. Since we had such good results using the 162 grain bullets out of the Hell's Canyon, we decided to stretch out to 200 yards. Now what you're looking at is actually 4 shots. The first shot that's a little away from the other 3 was a shot that I took on target and then used that as an aiming point. The other 3 shots measured under 3/4 of an inch. All right, so now we're going to take a closer look at the features of the Winchester XPR Stealth. It uses 3 lugs on the bolt versus 2 lugs. It is a very large, beefy bolt, extremely stout, has a 3-round magazine, and when we tested the trigger pull right out of the box, it came to 3 pounds and 12 ounces. Now you can adjust the trigger pull by removing the 2 screws on the bottom and then adjusting the 2 screws. One is overall travel and one is your pull weight. I will tell you though that the epoxy that Winchester used to seal off these screws to keep them from backing out is very tough, so you will have to use some force to break that off. Now looking at the top of the gun, Winchester does include a 20 MOA rail on the Stealth model. The Browning X-Bolt Hell's Canyon Max Long Range is a step up from the Winchester XPR Stealth. However, it is twice the price. Now you do get a lot of features for this, including a Cerakoted burnt bronze finish, the recoil hog muzzle brake, and the adjustable comb in the back, which does not need any tools. The trigger is adjustable on the X-Bolt as well, and changing it is the same steps as on the Winchester. You undo 2 screws at the bottom and take the gun apart in order to get to those screws. Now, whenever we tested out of the box, the Winchester came in at 3 pounds 6 ounces, and after adjusting the trigger, we were able to get it down to 3 pounds and 2 ounces. The last thing to note about the Browning is that it does not include a Picatinny rail, so you will have to purchase a Picatinny rail separate. Now, luckily, Tally makes a really great Picatinny rail that is 20 MOA, matches the finish exactly of the X-Bolt, and has a built-in bubble at the back. So that's a look at the new 6.8 Western. Guys, I'm very excited about this round, and like I mentioned, I'm not one to jump on the new caliber bandwagon. However, I'm looking forward to using the 6.8 Western this deer season coming up here in Texas. Now, some final thoughts on the 2 guns. So first off, on the XPR, after shooting it rapidly, and I'm talking like a box of 20 rounds and not giving it time to cool, I noticed that the bolt would stick and it would have a little bit of problems loading. You'd have to force it down. On the Browning, we were having some problems with the shells ejecting. After some examination, I noticed that what was actually happening were the empty cases were hitting the scope mount. So be sure and use a scope mount that will give you a clear ejection path. Overall though, I'm very pleased with the results of both these guns. I'm going to be using the XPR this season, and I'm looking forward to that. For more information, be sure and check out the accompanying article. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and hit that like button. We'd really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.